waiting room. I think we can begin. Hopefully my speakers are ready. Good evening to everyone attending our workshop today. I'm Lusiba Moko on behalf of YIPA, the Youth and Property Association. We're here today to partner with an organization in the name of the Trust of Urban Housing Finance, Trust for Urban Housing Finance. And today we're here to enlighten our members on entrepreneurship opportunities available in the urban housing space. Before we get too much into it, I want to just run through the structure of how the workshop will work. I'll quickly introduce YIPA. Hopefully most of you guys already know who we are. We're gonna present. I'll hand over to our presenters from TUHF. They'll present the two presentations for entrepreneurs and specifically for the Q&A session at the end. So I ask you guys to keep yourselves muted and your videos off for network issues, and also then send in any questions you have while they speak or even at the end for the Q&A session. And me and another YIPA member are going through the chat box and picking out questions that we'll use for the Q&A session that our presenters will answer at the end. Thank you. So basically, YIPA, if you guys didn't already know, is focused on transforming the property industry by increasing their participation of young people. This is through our education, our employment, and our entrepreneurship initiatives. Today, we're putting together our education and our entrepreneurship initiatives by bringing you TUHF, who have on offer opportunities specifically for the youth. And without further ado, I'm going to let Mahlatse and Sinigewe from TUHF take over. Enjoy.
Thanks, Lusiba. So I guess I'll just start with giving an intro to who is TUHF. So TUHF provides access to finance for entrepreneurs from all walks of life, as Lusiba said. We finance entrepreneurs to purchase and subsequently refurbish, convert, and develop properties in the inner cities across the country. We also provide support and guidance to entrepreneurs in the form of training, mentorship, and let me just go to the next slide, please, Lusiba. So this will cover more or less what the presentation will cover. Next slide, please. So TUHF has been in existence for around 18 years. In the time, we financed about 43,000 units. Our loan book is currently at about 3.8 billion rand, and we finance over 400 entrepreneurs. The next slide, please. So this is basically a summary of what makes us different. You will know that our competitors are mostly the commercial banks. We believe that we have a competitive edge, and that's why we do what we do. We specialize in urban areas. Our areas that we finance in, although others see decline, we see access to schools, transports, and other systems. There's a good opportunity to buy buildings at good value, and there's a lot of existing infrastructure. Next slide, please. So this is the area, or these are the areas that TUHF finances in. We have offices in all of those areas. Myself, I'm based in the Johannesburg office, which is the head office. Next slide, please. This is our management team. I actually saw one of our members in the crowd, so thank you for joining as well. Next slide, please. So this is a rough guideline to what makes up our financing model. Just focusing on the middle section, which is the activities. We provide financing to SMEs in inner city. We offer experience and knowledge of the inner city markets. We act as a connector between entrepreneurs and other stakeholders like your municipalities, construction professionals, etc. We do induction and training. Some of you would have known that we have a program called TPPE, which we run in conjunction with UCT. It's a course which takes entrepreneurs basically through the ins and outs of running a property as a business. And that's just one of the value adds that we have as TUHF. What our outputs are is that we offer a single loan facility of 15 years. As I said before, is for acquisition, development, refurbishment, or conversion or new builds. Our pricing is linked to Prime or JIBAR, but most people will be familiar with Prime. We charge a once-off raising fee at the beginning, which is included in the loan, so we don't have any monthly service fees or anything like that. We are also able to accommodate different scenarios, so we're able to structure deals in different ways to accommodate the specifics on a particular project. Next slide, please. So this is just the case for why we believe in the inner city. Firstly, it's a multi-sector economy, meaning that services like your manufacturing, tourism, your government, etc., converge in the inner city. And we believe that people want to live around where they work. And this is why we believe in the inner city for the current time and going forward. The next slide, please. As you would know, just click forward, please. As you would know, there's a increasing trend towards urbanization. Urbanization is happening more rapidly than ever before, and we believe this will continue. People coming into the cities will naturally need places to live. And our case as TUHF is that we believe that living around business opportunities and central business districts is in the best interests of anybody coming into the city and living in the city. Next slide, please. There's also a lot of infrastructure, as I said before, like the cities have access to fiber, electricity, railroads, etc. The next slide, please. Next slide, please, sorry. Just go back a few, Luciba, sorry, I lost it a bit there. Another one, please. And another one. So the alternative to living in the city is usually to live on the outskirts. We believe that people who choose to live in the city have a better cost benefit in the sense that there are less costs associated with traveling to the city. We just named this the energy price trend, which basically says that living in the city is more cost effective than living on the outskirts where you'll find largely the same services. The next one, please. There's also a high demand in the city. There's a lot of schools, universities are largely around the urban areas. Next one, please. And then there's a lot of density already in the city. So As I mentioned before, we do some new build projects, but very few, and that's because there's a lot of infrastructure existing. A large portion of the developments we do as TUHF is to do refurbishment, which is usually what I encourage new people into the industry to pursue. The next one, please. And then this just speaks to the physical infrastructure already existing in terms of your roads, your sewer, electricity, etc. So there's also a lot of knowledge sharing in the inner cities. All of these services like your healthcare, education converge in the city, which is another reason why we believe in it. The next slide, please. So in general, when we speak about the inner city, these are kind of the risks that people think of, which is, you know, I guess the city doesn't have the best PR, and people generally fear land invasions or building hijackings. But for us as TUHF, this isn't a major risk in our company, and we have ways of mitigating that for that. The next one, please. And that is the presentation from TUHF. I think I'll be taking questions either now or at the end, I'm not too sure.
I mean, if you interested in taking questions now, there's a few I've already spotted. We can just take the three that I think are a bit interesting or useful.
Okay.
The first one I've spotted here asks, what's the qualifying criteria for being eligible to get this funding?
So as TUHF, we have what we call character-based lending, which is more the subjective part, where we look at an individual's skills and competencies, but primarily our way of determining whether or not we can fund you is by making an assessment on the actual project, which I can go into detail later on.
Okay, no, that makes sense. So it's not person specific, but rather the project.
The project is important, but the person behind the project is equally important as well.
Okay, so you guys are you stress the entrepreneur behind the project, the importance of him or her.
Exactly. And where the entrepreneur may have shortcomings, we try to put measures in place to mitigate against any potential risks.
Good to hear. Then an interesting question I see here is, do you guys fund auction sales?
Yeah, we do.
That's good to know.
So that's sales and executions and just normal auctions as well.
Okay, oh, that's great. Then also, I remember here spotted that Mpumalanga was not on your guys's map. When are you guys planning on including it? And because you aren't there, do you not have projects there, or you're not looking into projects there?
At the moment, Mpumalanga isn't on our radar. I see that from Lucky. Maybe you can just specify which area, Lucky.
I don't know if Lucky is typing. But yeah, those were the few questions that I thought would be interesting for now. And we'll save the late. There are other interesting ones, guys. Don't take offense. But yeah, to save time, I think we can go to the next presentation and then I have a nice Q&A session.
All right, thank you.
Simnigiwe, are you ready? Can I share your presentation?
Yeah, you may. I'm just checking if Ngobi is here. that you may share it.
Over to you, Simni.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Hello. My name is Simnikiwe, and I'll be taking you guys through Umastandi. Much like TUHF, Umastandi provides financing for property entrepreneurs. Our areas of finance are just a bit different. We finance in the township areas in the biggest metros in South Africa, namely the city of Cape Town, Ekurhuleni, and city of Johannesburg. So you can go to the next slide, please. So Umastandi came about because of the shortage of housing in South Africa, and the rise that gives rise to informal structures in the township areas in South Africa. Umastandi is there to provide financing to property entrepreneurs who may have title deeds in these areas, or people who would want to invest to buy and develop any properties in these areas. Umastandi offers a mortgage finance, training, and mentorship to the qualifying entrepreneurs who show any potential and have the passion to run a profitable and sustainable legal ownership based on the rental business that they could get to cover the monthly mortgage payments for Umastandi. Next slide, please. So our product provides a DIBA-linked 15-year loan. We charge a once-off raising fee, and we have no monthly savings fee, much like Umastandi said. We provide training for our property entrepreneurs and mentorship, and we provide construction support by having a project review consultant who will basically check if whatever project that we're doing they have is done on time and within budget. And we provide mentorship for property management and property management courses for our entrepreneurs to better upskill them to better understand utilities, bookkeeping, and dealing with tenants and vetting, etc. Next slide, please. Umastandi provides financing in the said areas: Soweto, whole of Soweto, Spruitview, Atteridgeville, Khayelitsha, Langa, to name a few. We'll be sending these slides afterwards in order for you guys to just see exactly which areas we finance in, but we finance in an array of areas in the townships around South Africa. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So Umastandi provides financing to basically two types of entrepreneurs. One who may have a property, let's say your mother has a property in the township areas, and that they want to develop into rental property. Maybe they may stay there and want to develop in the backyard, or ones may want to just demolish the structure and build rental units in the structure. So we provide financing for those. We provide up to 80% of the project cost. So when I say project cost, that's inclusive of construction costs, legal fees if you're buying, and any construction costs, legal fees, and purchase prices, right? And we also provide entrepreneurs who may want to buy and develop in the township. They want to buy to supplement their other sources of income, and they have an existing property in the township, or may not have an existing property, and they want to densify the property that they have. Next slide, please. So how Umastandi application works. We need you we say we're a specialized financing company where we provide financing within the said areas that you said, the ones that I've listed before. And that's usually because we know the market, we know the demand in the market and the market overview. The person, if you either have a title deed or you have a property in mind, you have a good credit record, and you have enough space to build the proposed development. What we would then do, you would come to us, where we would require certain information, like if you're buying, the purchase price, the construction costs, if there's any, how much the potential rentals are going to be, how long it's going to take to construct, and what your equity contribution is. So as I said, we provide up to 80% of the project cost. Just a desktop example, if you're, let's say, buying a house for 500,000, you want to develop for 300,000, and your legal costs are 200,000. This is just an example to make it 1 million. So in that case, your whole project cost would be around 1 million. We would need an equity contribution from your side of about 200,000 in that instance, plus minus 200,000, depending on how cash flow positive the project is. Obviously, if you're coming with a project that you already own, if you already own the land, that's going to be a decrease in maybe your equity contribution, and you could release equity on that said property. You can also come to us if you have a bonded property in our said areas, where you would want to pay off that bond, and you would want us to provide you with a construction facility in order to maybe densify or build some back rooms, or build the rental income or the rental investment property within that structure, right? So we would then do a feasibility. We do a feasibility analysis, a desktop feasibility analysis on your project to see if it works, basically. And when we say it works, we mean that the project needs to be able to pay for its utilities and operating expenses. It needs to be able to pay Umastandi, the Umastandi installment, and you need to have some sort of income that you have from that property to be able to have some sort of income from that said property. And that's how we check its viability and its feasibility. And yeah, next slide, please. So we provide finance up to, as I repeat again, LTV of 80%, as I explained. And then we have a debt cover ratio. Our hurdles are debt cover ratio of 1.4. When I say debt cover ratio, I mean that the project needs to essentially be able to, your net operating income, so your income after you've paid your expenses, needs to be at least 40% more than our expense, more than our installment, right? That means you basically have a cash in hand that you will receive after paying back our debt of about 40%. Next slide, please. So just an overview of some of our projects that we've done. This is House Nosa, that's in sprayed view. The project, much like how I explained, the entrepreneur came with having already started developing the property, the units, and came to Umastandi to finish up the units and build 14 bachelor units in sprayed view. Next, please. And this is more the background, the backyard rentals, where the entrepreneur stays in the property and they want to build extra added rooms for rental purposes in a property that they already reside in. Next slide, please. Yeah, a property entrepreneur would come to us generally and ask for finance for development of the property. Maybe they have a land this is in the Soweto market. They already had the land and they wanted to, they proposed a development. Next slide, please. Next one, this is just to show you some of our projects. These are some of the Cape Town projects. Yeah, thank you. So those are some of our projects that Umastandi does. We are a very, we try to assist our clients as much as we can when it comes to, and try to upskill them in both construction and property management. And we try to make that process as easy as possible for them. We provide financing, and obviously the more underfunded township areas in South Africa. And yeah, if you need any more information, you can contact me, and my details will be on the chat box. Thank you.
Thank you, Simnike. That was very much informative. If you're ready, we can slide straight into the Q&A. I've gone through the chat there. There are some questions, mostly around how do you guys help the entrepreneurs? But let's start off with, you did touch on, you said your guys' max portion that you will finance is 80%, but you guys have a max amount or max size of a project.
Not necessarily, but because of obviously the loan book of Umastandi, Umastandi is relatively new. We try to not go beyond 5 million on our financing, because of the loan book size for Umastandi. Otherwise, the project, most of our projects range about the 1.3 million range for construction costs and purchase price in the said areas. So a 5 million project would be quite big in the area.
Okay, I see. I also wanted to touch back on a previous question that we got from Lucky. There was a similar question that another member asked. I wanted to ask it in a way that asks, do you guys have specific areas that you've demarcated that you're willing to finance projects in, or is it more of it just has to be urban? Or okay, so there are specific areas that you guys have demarcated.
Yeah, so if you saw one of my slides, slide 4, I have the focus areas that we finance in. Right now, we've just opened up our areas of finance to more regions within the Gauteng and Cape Town region. But obviously, over time, we will expand in probably more. We'll start with the areas in which TUHF is at, and would start financing there. But at the moment, the areas that we finance in are whole of Soweto, Lenasia, Eldorado Park, Spruitview, Vosloorus, Tembisa, Kaeli, Chalanga, and just to name a few. But I think everyone will be able to see which areas we finance in exactly when we send the slides.
So if you guys haven't specifically earmarked that place either on these slides, or it's not something you guys are, it's not an area you guys are willing to fund yet.
Look, if the area, maybe it's in close enough proximity to the areas that we're financing, and maybe it exudes the same character as the areas that we finance in, and we have, it's really depends on serviceability. Are we going to be able to go to those specific areas? Are we going to be able to see through the loan on our side, and because we hands-on with our entrepreneurs? So then maybe we would be able to look into it. But let's say if a project is probably in Limpopo, and Limpopo is outside even of our provinces of financing, we'll probably not look into that now.
I hear you. Then also there was a more technical question on, I guess, calculating the project costs. Does TUHF have a default construction or renovation cost per square meter that you use, or as a baseline?
Look, we want the developer, our entrepreneur, to come with quotations for us with their program, of course, we'll assist them in getting those, and we'll give them guidance when we think maybe they may be, because we can only judge from our historical knowledge of other projects that we've done within the area, right? Our property entrepreneur is the one that's going to come with different codes. We probably want about 3 codes and their proposed construction, and we would look into that. But obviously we have we have our internal ways that we use in order to gauge how much construction. We probably say around 4,000 to 4.5, how much the construction cost per unit is. But it really depends on a project to project basis and what the entrepreneur gives us, because 4,000 today may not be 4,000 tomorrow, right?
Yeah, definitely. Times are changing.
Yeah.
Then to the 2 questions that were focusing on how you guys help entrepreneurs was, 1, you guys help with the rezoning in any way? I guess with the process itself of rezoning, and also more importantly, I guess would be the big question is, do you guys in any way help the entrepreneur access equity from other organizations or other finances?
I'll start with the second one. No, we don't. We don't. So remember, we provide our financing on the idea that we will be senior debt.
Yes.
That's why I said one of the parts that I said is that should you come to us with maybe an already bonded property, we'd have to pay back that property, whatever you owe, to settle that loan, and then put you under Umastandi and provide you an added construction cost that you may need. But we will not help you in sourcing the equity contribution. Yeah. Because we also don't want you to be over indebted, right? Also, when it comes to the zoning, so that would be more the entrepreneur's part. With what Umastandi can maybe, what the portfolio manager might assist with is maybe give the entrepreneur maybe contacts that we may have on who can assist, or maybe town planners that they can choose from to assist them with that. But I think our guidance and our assistance comes in more upskilling our entrepreneurs in where they may lack. We understand, especially in the areas that we finance in, most of the people, this is probably their first project. Most of the entrepreneurs, this is probably their first project. Could be maybe umama who's staying at home and they want to build, they would just want to build they want to build a residential or investment property in the property that they already stay in, or others, they just want to buy a property as a Soweto, they've stayed in Soweto all their lives, so they want to now start a business there, and they don't necessarily have the skills on the onset. So we provide mentorship. Once their project registers, we provide training, much like what Umastandi said. Our clients would probably be under TPPE, the training that we do with UCT. We'll provide a PRC, which is a project review consultant, who will check the costing and the budgeting and the timeliness and the quality of the construction project while they're doing the construction. And we'll just provide guidance in that sense. And I think that's how we assist our entrepreneurs mostly.
Yeah, no, that is a big assistance though. I wanted to go back to that first part. I wanted to first part of your answer, which said you said then you don't want your entrepreneur to be over indebted. Would you guys then be against the entrepreneur bringing another debtor to finance the equity portion?
As I said, our security is the property itself, right? And we provide financing in terms of we are senior debt. Yeah. So whoever the extra, we wouldn't really advise for you to get to over indebt yourself, because remember the things that we check on our side, we want our viability or our feasibility is on that the property needs to be able to pay you. It needs to be able to pay its operating expenses, and it needs to be able to pay Umastandi. So obviously, whatever added debt that you put in, that would eat on your basically on your profit. Yeah, and just I think it would just be just checking that for yourself. The entrepreneur, it would be on the discretion of the entrepreneur to check that for themselves and just ensure that they're not overexposed and they're not over indebting themselves in that sense.
No, that's clear. That makes sense. And then would you be able to maybe give us a turnaround time on a good application, an application that ticks all your boxes?
So we generally try to, if a client comes to us with the feasibility works, and we start going into the application phase. We sit with our credit committee every 2 weeks. So that's when we would propose your project, and it takes about 8 to 12 weeks to register the loan. So I think when it comes to the writing of the proposal and getting the actual approval, we try to have it within 2 to 3 weeks after the submission of application and all the relevant information. And then we would need then the bond registration time before we get to the actual construction.
That's clear. That's clear. I think that's also a very fast turnaround time. I think that's been very informative. Let me close this there. Thank you, Mahlate. Thank you, Sinikwe. I think this has been a very informative, enlightening workshop that shares a very accessible opportunity for the youth or anyone really interested in accessing, like you guys said, a slept-on market in urban areas. I'm keen to see you guys expand to other areas of the country, specifically the Eastern Cape. That's where I'm talking to you from. Yeah, I'd love to see you guys here, and definitely when you guys come here, I will be knocking at your door for some financing. Definitely.
That's great. I'll be following you.
So from MIPA and from our members, I want to say thank you to you guys. Thank you for sharing your time with us and sharing your insights. Very much appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. This is where we'll call it a night.
We're also happy to share our contact details. So if anybody wants to follow up with questions that we weren't able to answer.
How would you propose we share those contacts?
You can share it via an email, or I can share it now in the contact.
In the chat.
In the chat, rather.
I would suggest just drop them there, and I think interested people, I think we've got some guys who are looking for work too, fighting that youth unemployment. I like to see it. So just drop the contacts and then, yeah, I think any interesting member can just grab it from there and we can work from it. Yeah.
All right. Just noting that I'm on study leave, so I'll see them next week.
No, I'll write it down. Thank you so much again. Should you need anything from Umastandi, you can contact me. I'll put both me and my colleague Ngobi's details is here, and you can contact any of us.
Very friendly people, these guys. Don't be afraid. Thank you guys and good night. I hope you enjoyed the workshop.